following dialogue is the continuation of the conversation that I had with Heidi in Chinese. She shared with me how she came to love languages as a kid, how she became a German teacher in Hungary. She also talked about the qualities that constitute a good language learner, especially in a classroom scenario. We also talked about different techniques and methods to learn languages. And finally, she shared with us from where she draws her motivation. We also talked about a wide range of topics, which I hope you will find amusing, to say the least. Enjoy. Okay, so thank you for coming to the show again.
Thank you for inviting me.
And I remember I actually learned Hungarian when I was in university. I learned one semester of Hungarian, but I forgot everything.
I did the same thing in Germany at university. I had one semester of Hungarian, and I thought, okay, it's very hard. We had a Hungarian teacher, and it was a nice course. I really enjoyed it, but then I thought after one semester, well, it's too difficult. I will never use it. So it was nice for one term, and I will concentrate on my exams, and I will quit. And then half a year later, I actually came to Hungary, and I had to start from scratch because I had forgotten everything. So it's normal to forget everything, I think.
I think the pronunciation of Hungarian is the most
quite
difficult for me.
Yeah, it's difficult. But then I came to Hungary, and I was in the country, and then it wasn't easy, but now it's okay for me. It's no problem anymore.
Right. Well, when I was in university, my teacher was Chinese, but she said she learned Hungarian in Brazil.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if you know that. Maybe I'm dumb. I've heard of it, but there are still a Hungarian-speaking population in South America.
Oh, I haven't heard about it, but maybe
that's
true.
That's what she told me. There's this immigration history in South America.
And so she had Hungarian friends in Brazil?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's interesting. I will have a look at it. That's interesting to know. Yeah.
I still remember how to say magyarul beszélek. Magyarul tanulok. Magyarul beszélek. Yeah.
Nagyon jó.
Magyarul. 我都忘了. I forgot everything. Yeah. And there's also when I was learning languages, there was also a Hungarian polyglot that inspired me a lot. I'm sure maybe you've heard of it. Her name it's a woman. She passed away. Her name is Lombkato.
Lombkato. Yeah, of course. Every Hungarian knows her. Yeah.
Every Hungarian knows her?
Yeah, everyone knows her. Yeah.
Has she been an inspiration for you? Because her book has definitely been an inspiration for me.
Yeah. I got to know her too late. So I was inspired already, and later on I got to know her.
I checked out the name of her book. It's called How I Learned Languages in English.
Yeah, I think I read a part of her book in Russian, just for fun. So I knew more or less what is.
Spoke Russian.
I don't speak Russian. I just learned it at school and forgot it.
Just like Chinese, you don't speak Chinese.
No, my Russian is much worse. And on purpose, I don't speak and don't learn Russian now because I learn Slovak, and I don't want to mix them up. So I can understand, but I don't really want to speak. And my Russian isn't on the same level as Chinese.
Right. Where does your fascination for languages come from? Did it came when you were young?
Yeah, I think so. It started when my brother was maybe 4 years old and I was 6. And he said, my mom, one evening, well, I want to study a foreign language. Can you teach me one? And my mom said, oh yeah, of course. Well, I think you will learn English at school, so maybe we could start learning Italian. And I said, well, my brother is younger than me and he can sing better than me and he will know a language better than me. I will learn Italian too. And so we started. But the book was very old and very boring, and we made We learned one lesson and then stopped it. And then 1 year later again. And then I got to know an Italian girl in my town in Germany. And then with her, I started learning Italian.
Right.
So it started very early, and my parents were studying languages too. They didn't speak; they wanted to read, but
Right.
I think it was natural, and I enjoyed it, and I wanted to go abroad. So it was just with me. It never started; it was there always.
Were your parents polyglot? Because you
Yeah,
told
I
me your
think
father
so.
spoke Chinese
Yeah, I
and your
think so.
mother spoke.
My mother also, they studied languages. When they
Right.
tried to speak with my Italian friend, they couldn't really, but they
Right.
could understand. They tried to read books. So they studied lots of languages. My mom she had a plan, one language for one day. On Monday, she studies some Russian. On Tuesday, some Latin. I don't know which day what. And there was some days which had two languages because she had more languages than days of the week.
And so, which one is your first foreign language? Was it English or Italian?
Italian.
It was Italian.
Yeah.
And how did you learn? Did you learn at school or with the Italian girl?
No, first with my mom, then with the Italian girl.
Right.
Then at school we didn't learn, but the Italian girl, she had to attend another school in the afternoon for Italian children, and I was allowed to join that school too, so I learned there a bit too. It was all in Italian with Italian books, so it was fascinating for me. It was very hard, but really good. And then at university, I studied Italian and French and Old Chinese.
French and Old Chinese.
And then I went to Italy with my friend for 2 months, and I think that's when I really learned to speak Italian.
So at university, you learned 3 languages: French, Chinese,
and Italian. In Germany, you have to have one major. This was French, and 2 minors, and this was Italian and ancient Chinese.
Right. And at school, were you a good student with languages?
Yeah. We had English, and second language was Latin.
It was Latin. How are you with Latin?
The same as Old Chinese. It's very difficult. But as I learned Italian and French, these languages helped me, so I do understand something, but I couldn't speak. And
later, so after university, correct me if I'm wrong, after university you became a language teacher right away, or something happened in between?
After university I wanted to go abroad, and I tried different things, and the first place that worked was the school in Hungary. So I became a teacher, but I was sure I didn't want to become a teacher. But I was sure I wasn't going to be a teacher, and I said, okay, being a teacher for 1 or 2 years, it's okay, and I'll be something else. And then I stayed a teacher for 32 years. So it was just a native speaking teacher, and later on I attended university again in Hungary to be a teacher for tourism and for German and for English also. So right after university I came to Hungary.
Why Hungary?
It was by chance. I tried to go to France, to Poland. I tried to become an ambassador and travel the world. But then Hungary was the first thing that worked out. And then I said, okay, for 1-2 years, and then I'll try another country. And then I stayed here, had a family, and then stayed here.
You said you didn't want to be a teacher in the first place.
Yeah, not at all.
What did you want to do for your life?
I wanted to be an ambassador.
An ambassador? A diplomat.
Diplomat, right. Maybe translator, maybe interpreter.
Yeah. Right. Do you love teaching?
By now, if the students like to learn, then I like to teach. If the students don't like to learn, I don't like to teach. What
is a good student? I know you've been teaching languages for 30 years, and I have some experience teaching, but not so long as you. What is a good student?
A good student is a student who wants to learn. If he's weak or strong, it doesn't matter. It's not. If he's eager to learn, is curious, wants to learn, that's a good student.
Right. Are there more talented students than others?
Yeah, of course there are. But it doesn't matter for me. If there's a very weak student but wants to learn, then I will help explain 10 times. I don't mind. It's good. It's okay.
Right. Would you say yourself you're a talented language learner?
Probably. Well, it depends. Compared to other polyglots, I'd say I'm just average. Compared to normal people, yeah, I'm a good language learner.
How do you define talent? How do you define a good learner? You never forget things? You have a good accent?
No, I forget
What's
everything.
your definition?
I forgot everything.
Right.
I think just don't stop. Just go on learning.
Okay. Yeah. That's the idea.
And I think you have to reach a certain level. And once you reach it, I reach it in English, Italian, French, then you can not use the language for years and you can start talking right away. And it's no problem.
Right.
But my Chinese and the other languages, I didn't bring to that level. And then I forgot them and I had to start from scratch. But then the second time I could learn them faster. So things don't disappear, but you can't recall them. I started, well, my Hungarian pronunciation is good. My English pronunciation is not really good because I learned it from a German English teacher. And later on, I never tried to get a really good English pronunciation. So the languages I learned later on with native speakers, it was easier to get a good pronunciation. I don't know. There are languages, for example, French and Italian. I think I know the grammar quite well. But there are other languages I learned later and I didn't really care about grammar. I like grammar, but I don't think it's the most important thing. So I just say, well, if I can say I learned Hungarian that way, I just said anything. I didn't care about grammar. And in the end, my grammar became good. So now I don't care about grammar. And I know in the end, it will be good if I keep on talking.
Do you use the same philosophy in your German class, that grammar is not the most important thing?
I can't, because students think it is important. They want grammar. They want grammar. They want to control things. They want to know I have to learn this much for next lesson. They don't think I have to immerse myself. I have to have fun. They think it's not serious. They don't feel well if they don't get grammar. So I tell them, just enjoy, just read, just do anything. But they don't believe it, and they don't have the courage to do it.
They're very motivated because they're very motivated.
Very few of them are motivated. The others are very courageous. They try to pass, and not to study too much. Just try to pass. Right. Just a few of them are motivated and really study.
Right. And what are the ages of your students?
At school, they are 14 to 20, but I also teach at university, and there they are 20 to or 18 to anything, because it's also, students who come only in the evening or on Saturdays, and they are already grown up, they work, and they want to do a translation course, 2 years, translation, to become a translator for German, and so I teach Hungarian German translation, and they are really motivated. So at university, I only have motivated students. At school, I have a few motivated students, most of them are not.
So it's easier to work at a university?
Yeah.
Oh, and at high school, why do you think children are not very motivated? Because I know some people around me, and from a personal experience, I can say that maybe most people they're not a big fan of learning languages at school.
Yeah, and I understand them, because I didn't want to learn chemistry and biology. So why should everyone like languages? It's okay if they want to learn something else. It's okay.
Right.
And I'm not teaching at the best school in my town. At other schools, students are more motivated. But even then, I did have some classes in another school where really motivated students were, but they were not motivated to learn the language. They were motivated to pass the language exam. And it was a bit boring for me. Yeah, it was a bit boring for me just to teach for a language exam. And it's all not natural. They learn by heart 100 words in order to be able to talk about one topic and to answer to certain questions. And it's not free. It's just one topic. It's just
But you're a
real talk.
Yeah, but you're a motivated language learner, and where does your motivation come from?
I enjoy it. It's fun. It's a great feeling. It's when I was a child, the Germans have a strange thing. Everyone can be homesick, but the Germans can be far away sick. So they want to travel to another country, and I was that.
Right.
So that's why I went to Hungary, and so that's why I learned languages. I want to go to another country, and by now I'm in Hungary, so I'm calmed down. I don't have to go away, but I still enjoy learning. It's like a puzzle in your brain, or it's like training in your brain. It feels good. It's a sort of challenge, but not too difficult. Then I learned Hungarian just by talking, and in the end I succeeded. And it's just a good feeling.
Yeah. For a lot of people, learning language is like it's like an intellectual marathon.
Yeah.
It's just like it's like doing sports, but in the brain.
Yeah.
And just then you mentioned Germany, and in comparison with other countries in Europe, I think my feeling is that German people they're better with languages in comparison with, for example, French people around me, or
maybe
Spanish or Italian people.
Yeah, French and Italian, that may be true, but for the others, maybe Spanish, I don't know, but no, other countries. Well, in Hungary, 30 years ago, Hungarians were really great in foreign languages. They spoke German without almost no accent and perfect grammar. By now, it has changed a lot. But I think they are still quite motivated Europeans. I don't think Germans are better than others. No, not really.
Are Hungarian people more motivated to learn languages because nobody will understand them in Europe?
No, I don't think so. And by now, I even think for German, it's easy to learn English because it's so similar. Hungarians don't have an easy language, so it's always hard for them. They always have to start with English or with German, and it's quite different. So I think it's harder for them.
And also, you said you have 3 children. Are your children polyglots?
I talk in German only with them when they were kids, but they grew up in Hungary. And the eldest one, her German is as good as my Hungarian, so she is fluent, but with an accent. The other 2, their English is better than their German, and they learned English at school and from the internet. But they can, they can talk German. They can understand really well, but they are not interested in learning languages, so they are not really polyglots in the sense of having language learning as a hobby. They are good, but it's not their hobby. They don't think it's interesting.
Have you used any techniques raising kids speaking several languages? Because I watched a video with Richard Simcott, and I know you know Richard Simcott.
Yeah, of course.
And he talked about how he trained his children to speak different languages. He at one situation at the dinner table, it's one language. When they're playing, it's another language. And in different circumstances, in different situations, they use different languages. Is that something that you apply to your
for us
as
it's
well?
quite easy. My husband is Hungarian, I'm German,
Right,
so he Hungarian, I German, and that's it. And in every situation, I German. But later on, when the 3 children started talking to each other, They started talking in German because this was the language of at home, but then they went on in Hungarian because this was the language of school and kindergarten, and afterwards the Hungarian became much better a bit. So now Hungarian is their mother tongue or their perfect language, and German is their mother's tongue, but not really, not the perfect one. No, I think you can give a chance to a child, and if the child isn't interested, you have to accept it.
Do you think it's easier for children to learn languages than adults?
Yeah.
You think so? Why?
It's easy. It's no problem at all, and they have the possibility to get the perfect accent. But later on, it's difficult to maintain the languages. So I could give the German basics, but when I suggested my children to watch German videos, read German books, because they loved reading, no, it's tiring. Hungarian is easier, and they didn't want to. And I didn't want to force them. So by now, I talk Hungarian with them. And they are thankful for this for the occasion. And my daughter has a son too now, and she wants to teach him in 3 languages. Good luck.
Which three? Hungarian, German,
Hungarian, German, and English.
And English.
Yeah, she thinks because in a work process it's very useful to know English, so she wants to teach him English. I don't know whether it will work out, but she has to try. It's okay.
Do you think it's possible for a person to learn a language to a very fluent level after adulthood?
Yeah, fluent is no problem. So my Hungarian is really fluent. Just once in a while you hear I'm not a Hungarian, but sometimes it takes a while. Yeah, you can get very fluent and very close to perfect, but close to.
And what's the
really
key?
Perfect?
You talked about motivation, attitude, consistency. Is that the key to fluency?
Yeah, I think having fun also.
Right.
Talking a lot.
I'd like to get back to your language learning techniques and method because they're really, really interesting. And a lot of people they've been mentioning Anki, they've been mentioning spaced repetition. They read a lot. They do a lot of grammar drills. They read a lot of books, write a lot. But it's the first
shadowing.
Shadowing. Shadowing. Yeah, it's the first time I've heard someone using memory palace, memory codes to learn languages. That's the first one.
Yeah, I can tell you a story about Lynn Kelly. She wrote about it in her book. She was a really bad language learner at school, and she had to learn French at school, and she forgot everything. And then later on, after she discovered the language palace, she started learning French again, and she had 2 teddy bears, a boy and a girl. And all the words in French that had a masculine article, she associated with the boy teddy bear. And all the they were associated with the teddy bear girl. And she always told the teddy bear boy was very angry because he had to have le soutien-gorge, bra, which is for girls, but it is le, so it had to be for the teddy bear boy, and he was very angry. And she could remember words better by using memory space and by using associations and these things. And so I use the same thing for Dutch. Dutch has 2 articles too. And German has 3. It should be easy for me, but Dutch doesn't have always the same as German. So at one point I learned that the town is 1 article and the beach is another article. And from then on, all the words that had the same article as the beach, I imagined these things on the beach, and the things that had the same article as the town, I imagined them in the town. And it was good to remember the articles.
Right. It actually makes sense. Yeah. Because we remember things when we associate with imageries, with feelings, with emotions. So it actually makes sense. I've never used this kind of method before. It's really.
Yeah.
Did you learn about this method from Lynn Kelly's book,
Yeah.
or did you learn it
Yes.
from elsewhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard her TED talk. She has a TED talk about it,
Right.
and then I became
Okay.
really interested. And then
Okay.
I wrote her a letter and emailed, and
Right.
she answered, and we corresponded for some time.
Right.
Then I bought her books, and I read about her books and everything,
Right.
and I found it really intriguing.
Right.
I wanted to try it myself. Well, the problem is usually you use the memory palace for, let's say, 214 things which stay always the same, and you can associate more things to them. What I did on my way to school, that I have 40 places, and one place is one Korean sentence. After 40 sentences, you have to think, should every place have 2 sentences or 3 sentences? Or you can erase it and put a new sentence and don't repeat the old one. So I did it this way. I erased them after I used 40. I erased them and reused them. And you can do both things. But once you get too many in one place, it gets messed up. But you can reuse these things. So for language learning, it's such a big amount of things. You can't have a place for every word. So you have to think how to use it in a clever way, but there are many possibilities.
Right. I'm thinking of something. Maybe it's not a very good question, but if you remember 240 Korean sentences, it's like you build a phrase book in your mind. It's like it's something you feel like a phrase book in your mind.
Yes.
Okay,
And it was only 40, but I had these 40 phrases, and I repeated them. I went to this place and just repeated. Do I still remember this phrase? Okay, next place, next phrase, and going back in reversed order. And it's no problem because it's associated with the place. And if I don't know, usually if you learn by heart something, if you forget one sentence, you don't remember the sentence afterwards. But if you have a place for everything, you can forget one thing, but you will still remember the next one because it's associated to the place and not to the sentence before. So I can, going back, I can do it in reversed order. And after having done it for 2 or 3 days, when it gets boring, I make new phrases for each place.
Is this the core method of your language learning?
No,
would you
not
define
really.
it as the core?
No,
not really.
Not really. I have so many methods, and when I find a new one, I find it intriguing and interesting. I want to use it, and then after some time, I might find it not interesting, or might say, "Oh, it's very good. I will use it again, but not today." And then one day, I haven't been doing this method for 1 year. Yeah, it's 1 year. So I just skip when I don't feel like it anymore. I just drop them.
Yeah. When you start to
Duolingo,
about Duolingo.
Duolingo is good also for doing shadowing.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Yeah.
If it's spoken
yeah.
by persons and not by a machine.
But Duolingo can only take you so far. It
it's not enough.
Duolingo is good for beginners. Yeah,
it depends on the course. I think there are courses which go quite far. Maybe Spanish for English-speaking people. I heard it's a very good course. There are others which are very short. And I started Latin to repeat it, and then I got someone told me the Latin course in Duolingo is really bad.
On Duolingo?
And the mix-up on Duolingo, there's Latin.
I didn't know they teach Latin.
Yeah, there is, but it's really a mess and it's classical Latin and medieval Latin and all mixed up, and the grammar isn't good. And so I said, okay, I'll quit this and do something else.
Yeah. Maybe they just use ChatGPT to generate some Latin lessons. I don't think.
Maybe I don't know.
Some of my Hong Kong friends, they told me Duolingo added Cantonese to
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to try it yet. My Chinese is not that good yet.
And something I want to ask you is that, and it's a problem that's been troubling me, and I don't have a good answer. And maybe you can shed light on this question. Is that if you learn a language, from where do you start? What do you do on day one? Where's the place to start for you?
Well, it depends. There are lots of languages I have started once, and I had a book, maybe 30 lessons, and at that time there was no internet, so I started with books. And when I start again, I might take this book again. But there's also, I don't know if you know, 50languages.com. It's a German program, and it's 1,800 phrases in 100 lessons. Each lesson has 18 phrases, and there's no explanation, but the phrases are put together in a way that you will understand grammar. And I think it's for foreigners in Germany to learn German, and it's translated into 50 languages, and I use it in the reversed way. So I use it for learning foreign languages, and you can pair them up as you want. So you can, from Spanish, put to French and learn French. And I like these phrases. So maybe for Chinese and Korean, they exist. They are maybe not too good because they try to be a translation of the German phrases and not typical Chinese phrases. But for European languages, it's really good. And for first impression, it's good too. So I use this. I might use Duolingo.
Asimil? Are you?
I had Asimil when I was at school. My father had it, and it was really good back then. But I haven't tried it again. Well, I think I haven't paid anything for any language learning so far, because I think there are so many things in the internet without paying. When I have learned everything which is out there in the internet, I can start paying. And so far, I've never felt the need to pay for anything. So everything is without paying. So I haven't tried it. But I think Asimil should be really, really good.
Right. Yeah. So I have some people around me that they keep saying, I can't find resources for learning languages. I can't find resources for the right. Maybe this question. How? I have this question. Once you know the basics, once you have the beginner level, how do you find the resources? How do you find learning materials that suits your level? Because it's a different. That's a.
But Slovak,
I have difficulty.
I did it. I just Google a word. Maybe I'm interested in brain. Brain. So I Google how to say brain in Slovak. I find it, and then I Google the word. Google Translate to find the word for brain. Then I put it into research, and I find an article. I put the article into Google Translate. And then I compare it all the time, and that's perfect for me to learn languages. With Slovak in the beginning, it was the texts were quite difficult, of course, but then I copied them word for word and tried to make out which words is which. And I think for me it worked very well. And maybe if you find some source who speaks, that's really good to get the correct pronunciation. But the 50 languages is good because it's all native speakers talking in 50 languages. So for pronunciation, it's really perfect and it's good to use it. And then usually I find a podcast or something or a person explaining something in that language, and then I can do some shadowing and get the pronunciation. So I make my own course. I make my own resources. And maybe if I have a book and 30 lessons, I stick to the book before. But maybe by now I wouldn't. Each day should be a new discovery. Maybe I would like to go on with the book, but maybe I would like to find a different new text in the internet. So it changes from day to day. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow.
Have you ever tried using artificial intelligence for learning languages?
Yeah, I've tried, but
I'm skeptical.
Yeah, it could be good. Well, I haven't
Yeah.
tried to do it that way. I want to train Chinese and I'm on level this, try to talk with me. I find it a bit artificial and I don't feel
Yeah.
like doing it. I think it's a
Yeah.
good method for someone who likes doing it. I tried it and I asked ChatGPT to tell me no, ancient Germanic myths in
Yeah.
Swedish. I tried it in German because I wanted to test it, and then I
Right.
found Hydra in it, and I thought Hydra isn't ancient Germanic; it must be Greek. So I'm not
Ah.
that sure, but for the language, it's really good. So the German texts I get are really good, and you could use
Mm.
it as a source. But as long
Yeah.
as I find enough text in the internet, so I don't really need ChatGPT. But maybe
Yeah.
it's good for pronunciation, for talking also. I
Yeah. Yeah.
might
Yeah.
try
Yeah.
again, but I had
Yeah.
enough other
Yeah.
things to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For some people like ChatGPT, it's not judgmental. If you make a mistake, it will not judge you.
That's okay.
You
It's
can
good.
you can talk to it anytime you want.
Yeah, that's true.
There's you don't need to find time with it. But I remain skeptical. I think I think you lose all the satisfaction for learning languages, because for me, and learning language is about the human interaction, and
Yeah, that's
and
true.
if you make it purely a intellectual exercise between you and the robot, it's like playing chess with the robot. It's like kind of playing chess with the robot.
Oh, I might
Uh,
like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Maybe one final question. What's the next plan? Do you plan to learn other languages in the future? And if
Yeah,
so, what are they?
probably,
Yeah?
but I don't know yet because right now I have 5 languages I'm learning at the same time, and
Right,
each of them I want to get them even better. I'm not
right,
that satisfied with my level, so
right.
I'm afraid if I start a new language, I might find it so fascinating that I stop repeating the other languages. So not yet, and it will be a surprise. I have a list of about
Right.
10, 15 languages I might want to
Wow.
learn.
Mm,
But I never know which one will be the next. For example, I had Dutch on my list, and
mm,
then my son went to Amsterdam. He got a job in Amsterdam, and he
mm-hmm.
said 1 year ago, 2 years ago, he said, "Well, I'm going to learn Dutch." I said, "Oh yeah, it's a nice idea. I wanted to learn Dutch too, but well, not now. I didn't want to. I want to let him be the first learning Dutch." And he said, "Oh, it would be great if we could learn it together." I said,
Mm.
"You really think so?" I said, "Yeah, of course." And so we started learning Dutch together, and he stopped very soon, and I went on. So that was Dutch. So it's a surprise. I never know before what will be the next
Mm,
language.
mm. And soon summer is over, and some students they will go back to school for their Chinese lessons. And for those children, for those students who are not motivated for their Chinese lesson, do you have any? What's your
Chinese,
advice?
where
Or
are
yeah,
that
or any other
German for
language
my
students.
yeah.
Yeah.
If they are not motivated and if they have
Mm,
to go to school,
yeah.
I'd say they should find out something they are motivated in. And if it's not
Yeah.
German, if it's not language, they should learn what they are motivated in and just skip the languages. I think without having fun, it's not good
Yeah, yeah,
learning a
yeah,
language.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's all
So
about yeah.
yeah, it's really, and at school it's different. It's difficult to have fun because you have to. Of course, there are some students who have fun
Mm,
if there's a task and they do the
mm,
task, get the good mark, and they feel good. So
mm.
if there are students who feel good
Yeah,
from good marks, of course they will
yeah.
study, and it's a good thing to do. It's not bad, but it's
But
even
if they
better
get
to
bad
have fun.
marks, yeah. If they get
Yeah.
bad marks, then then
Those who just want to
not so
get a
good.
pass and they get the
Yeah,
pass, it's okay, it's
yeah.
perfect. So I
Right,
don't
right.
think someone who doesn't want to learn languages should learn languages. No, just pass.
Yeah, yeah. It's like any other skill. It's you can only
Yeah,
master it
yeah.
with enough motivation.
If they want to get motivation, they should look for songs or look for comics. For example, my sons like to read Reddit, find anything in the internet which is interesting, or find really anything you find interesting. And if it's interesting, you will get motivation. And maybe other students at school learn grammar, and you don't learn grammar, you just watch many students like to watch series or dramas or something. I don't like them, but if it's interesting for someone else, it's okay. And just watch them a lot and every day. And in the end, you will get maybe better than those who really learn grammar. Even if you've never learned grammar, it's no problem. Just enjoy. I think that's the most important thing.
Right, absolutely. I can also relate to that. Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's a great way to end this episode. I think there are still I can still think about a lot of questions to ask.
Yeah, I think we could go on talking for 3 more hours.
It feels like the beginning of a conversation.
Yeah. True.
所以谢谢你，海迪。
我也谢谢你。谢谢你。
然后欢迎你下次再来。
谢谢。